All right, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another pairing stream. This is episode 27 of Working on the Song Themes. How's everything going, Mike?
Going well, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon for folks farther away,
Or evening.
or evening.
Although I don't think we have anybody where it's that late just yet.
9 a.m. here. Yeah, that's true.
It's 4 p.m. UTC, dinner time, I guess, in like Berlin's.
India? Middle of the
Well,
night?
India is like 12 hours
Yeah,
off or 11 hours
so
off.
9 p.m.
So it's, yeah. So,
Do you ever have folks from India watching?
yeah, occasionally. Occasionally folks from India, yeah. Yeah, I've also done teaching live, remotely, in India, and that's not something I'd like to do again.
Yeah, it's the 12-hour shift's kind of rough.
Yeah, it's like, let's start teaching at 8 p.m. my time.
And I thought, working with the client on the East Coast was rough.
Yeah.
That particular client liked to start early, so I actually had to get up at 4. I started
Oh,
work at 4:30
gosh.
a.m.
Yikes.
Because they wanted to start 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast, so that was rough.
Yeah.
Such is the life.
So, should we check into Jira and see where we're at?
All right. Sounds good. Using our handy 3-angle bracket.
Yes.
We're currently working on Jira 77, or about to. Let's see. Require that header rows have specific columns. Right. We're working on that one.
Yeah. So last time we improved, or actually created, our special assert class for our result class, and that's made some of our tests nicer to read and write. And next up is that where we're going to check that actually we have some required columns, and probably need to do some refactoring around that, and we'll get to that. And we discovered sort of a new requirement around dependent columns, which is interesting.
Yeah, that was. It's a beautiful example of like,
Yeah.
oh, you think you know all the requirements up front, and nope, you don't.
Yeah. And even if you try and think about them, you don't always know them because you discover
Right.
things.
Yeah, it wasn't. It really would be a hard one to think of in advance. You're like, oh, the type's not that important.
Yeah. Hey there, Sweetie. And so I put the odds of us getting to Jira 81, which is persistent DB, at 30%. So.
Oh wow! I thought you were going to say asymptotically approaching 0.
No, no. It'll depend on if we do decide to do number 79, and then how long that takes. So
yeah,
but pretty low odds of getting to persistence today. But we will likely get to it within the next couple of episodes. So
pretty close. Yeah.
So all our tests are passing, so that's good. So let's dive in. Let's see. Do we have any disabled tests, or are all our tests enabled?
Looks like something is this one.
So let's see.
That's where we left off.
Yeah. So let's go take a look at that. Yeah.
Parse all returns failure when missing required header columns.
Right. So let's take a look at our implementation of how I guess the column mapper is handling things. Right. So we have hard coded the required columns there on 14. But we haven't handled the multiple themes issue.
Right. Oh, come on.
Yes, it's the doing of the work where we discover the work to be done, which
Exactly.
business never likes. You're like, we want, and it's been that way forever.
Handle multiple themes, good enough for Jira 78.
Yeah, that's more than good enough.
Okay, cool. Whoops, wrong with tests. Now here we're testing at the TSV song parser level.
Right. I think we need to be testing at the column mapper.
There was a note here. Let me see. Handle missing song title at the parser level. It's missing song title.
So if I remember correctly, the implementation, I think we can see it if you scroll down a bit below. We're it's not, sorry, not in column mapper, but in the song parser itself, we're not checking for in parse song, which I think is in the next method.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So we're checking to see if artist was successful. We're not checking to see if the song title was successful.
So actually, we probably should tackle that first before
Yeah.
themes.
So what do we want to do here?
So the required are artist, song title, and at least one theme.
Well,
so
do we have? Go ahead.
The question is, do we check this at the song parser level or at the column mapper level?
Well, we are checking at the column mapper level that it is required, and so it will return a failure. We're just not detecting that failure. So we need to create a failing test to fix that.
At the song parser level?
At the song parser level.
Yeah, okay. So, and do we already have the sketching of that? Parse all. No, that's different. That's parse all, not parse song.
Right.
Do we have any, where is it? Nope, wrong one. Parse all, parse all. There's one parse song. So we do have, oh, what's this parse song, single song test? Interesting. I wonder if this parse song should be in this enclosing class.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it. Well, it is calling parse all, so. Yeah.
Name? Should we change the name?
Oh, maybe. So like parse all for song with only one name.
Okay, so now let's go down to the nested class. Not enough columns. Success for row with required columns. Success for row with required columns in different order. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think
place for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we want to check that it returns a failure. So I wonder, since this is going to be
something like that.
Yeah, do we? What was the other returns failure test in this?
I think there's only one for row with not enough columns. Yeah.
So I think we can make this a at least a parameterized test for the artist and the song title, because the reaction should be the same. So it's result failure for returns failure when required column missing.
Right. And we'll start off with song.
Yeah, we'll start off with song and then we'll parameterize it.
Yeah. So missing column. Start with that. Oh, this is a different order. Is this the? Yeah. Maybe get a better example than that.
That's the non-standard order.
Yeah, let's go with the standard order. Just to not make it, less confusing. So then we get rid of song title. What are we passing? Oh, the song in a new column.
Yeah, you can pretty much copy 186. Yeah.
And then we're going to insert.
Can we actually change? I'm wondering if we can rename song result to just result. What do you think?
Sure, and do it throughout the file. Well, are there other results where it's not a song result?
Yeah, there's result strings, but those would be in a separate test. So just being inconsistent is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Sure. Where's it?
Alt J.
Yeah, so I was about to do Control J, and I'm like, no, that's not right. And it'll wrap around, right?
It should, yes.
Didn't need to. Okay. And then F6.
So it said you need to try it again in order for it to wrap around.
Oh. There was nothing.
Okay.
So then at this point, do you do the F6 because?
No, because you've selected them all, so you just start typing.
Oh, okay. Except for the backspace button. Looks like you have to do it that way. There we go.
Yep. No, nope, don't hit enter.
Yeah.
Just hit escape to get out of the multi-caret.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's run our test just to be sure we didn't break anything.
Oh, yeah. I was in the middle of hitting Shift F10 when you were saying that. Okay, this is the one we started. Oh, interesting. No such element exception. Wow, I expected it to not even.
Yeah, so
because we haven't even written the assert yet, but of course it's failing upstream of the assert.
Yeah. So since that's unexpected, let's take a look at what happened. Oh, okay. Actually, that's actually expected.
Yeah.
We just won't be able to get to an assert.
Yeah, until we solve that part of it.
Right.
So
in fact, that's
failing test.
Yeah. Well, I think an assert. What would our assert be? Assert would be that it's a failure, because we wanted to not throw an exception. We wanted actually to get a failure result. So
right. How are we doing that above? We're just doing that, and then we're checking for a message. But we'll start with just the failure part.
Yep.
And then
Gosh,
we'll make it
so much nicer with our result assert.
Yeah. Okay. So we know it's not. I know there's no use in rerunning it because we know.
Right. So, Let's fix it. What's the cheapest,
I mean, would we
easiest,
do
least effort way to do it?
That's what I was thinking.
Sure. Let's see. Yeah.
Yep.
Ship
Fast. Okay. Yeah, ship it. Wait a second. No.
it. So let's
I'm curious what the failure message is going to be.
well, so yes, so this is where the test will fail next, is the message in this case is going to be wrong. So what we want it to be is messages should contain exactly some message.
Are we going to just
I think we can just assume there's some
characterize
message,
it?
and yeah, and we can characterize it.
Yeah.
It's going to be wrong though.
Right. But at least they'll give us a hint in which direction
Yeah.
to go.
Oh.
Oh.
And I saw this before, and it lodged in the back of my head, and now I'm like, oh yes, we are not returning the correct failure message.
We're not
We
even
might want to.
returning a failure message.
Yeah, we're not. Well, right, we're not returning a failure message at all.
Right.
But it is a failure. Which of course makes sense because there is no failure for artists.
Ah, right.
Which is what what we expected, or at least I expected, that because we're not looking at song title, artist has no failure messages, so it's empty. So
we have to have a separate conditional for each.
Right. So let's go look at what the failure message should be for when we do an extract column.
Extract column. You mean here?
Yeah. So this is what I thought we'd get, because right now on 33, we're not actually returning an appropriate message.
Right.
Yeah, so Sweetie brings up a point. If we ask a success object for its failure messages, should that blow up or should that return an empty list? Is an interesting question. I don't have a good thought about that, other than I'm not 100% sure it's actually a fail, like that it should like throw an exception or something.
I mean, is there some, well, it's a little bit of a Yagni future value of having a success message.
I mean, the question is do we feel like asking a failure result for, sorry, a success result? Sorry. Well, either way, a failure result for its success. Sorry, a success result for its failure messages. Is that ever useful?
Oh, I see.
Is that something where if you ask for failure messages on a success result, should it throw an exception?
But how do you ask for failure messages? Because we're doing is failure, and from that getting the messages.
Well, it would fail in the song parser, in the parse. So if we go to TSV song parser, right? So it would fail on line 55 because when we ask artists for failure messages, it would throw an exception.
Oh, if it was empty.
If artists succeeded,
Yes.
so it should have no failure message. So the The only thing I'm not sure about is sort of accumulating the failure messages. It would be easier maybe to collect across all the results and just accumulate the failure messages. Yeah, I don't know that I wanna,
Seems like a rabbit hole.
uh, I I mean, I'm always in favor of failing early, but I don't know that, yeah, I don't know that we wanna do that right now. So,
So we would go back to, or not go back to, we would just to crudely do this.
well, we'd have to accumulate from we'd have to concatenate both because we're not sure at this point which one failed. We basically wanna take artist.failure messages plus song title.failure messages plus eventually themes.failure messages. So, I mean, we're not gonna do that, but that's what we kinda want. So we wanna basically concatenate all those lists together. But we have a bigger problem right now, which is we're not generating any failure messages at the column mapper level, and we need to fix that. So I think we're missing a test at this level, and we need to fix that before we can fix TSV song parser.
Got it. So disable this one.
Yep.
Was it column mapper problem?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So then column mapper test. What do we have so far? Empty string return when optimal column does optional column does not exist. Failure when required column does not exist. Huh. But this one's got a, oh, this is six. Wait a second.
So this is just checking that,
Success.
um yeah, because remember, we didn't generify our result assert,
Right.
so we don't have a way to do that, and we thought that it wasn't worth it because we didn't have a lot of tests in this
Right.
class. Um, we actually need to add on to this test.
Like to have a failure message.
Yeah, to
Right.
have a failure message. So one thing I noted is this test starts with the word failure, whereas the other tests start with return failure.
The
Um,
string. I mean, yeah, oh, here, this one does.
yeah, and all the other ones in the TSV song parser test. Which one do we like better, failure or return failure? I kinda like failure. It feels like return doesn't add anything useful,
Less
and
less words is
and
always good.
well, and if we're looking for those that are failures versus success, we're sort of skipping past the word return anyway.
Right.
So, I think our standard should be failure or success is the first word.
Sounds good.
So yeah, so we wanna add on to the after the is false, but it's not gonna be part of the same assert because we don't have a convenience for that.
Oh, right.
So we'll want to assert on the failure message. And so this should contain exactly, what do we want it to say? This is not a characterization because it's not returning the correct message. So now we have to define what message we want.
Exactly.
So I think it should tell us what column or columns are missing.
Something like this.
Yeah.
And then in this one, it's missing
Song title.
required column name.
So it's 27. I think I'd like to see that in quotes.
In quotes.
In
like
double
this?
quotes.
Okay.
No, surrounding song title with double quotes so that it's easy to read.
Got it. Just bring back what I wrote. So like this.
So an easy way to do this, because you're going to have to escape the double quotes, is
Right.
copy the full string with the double quotes from line 27 and then paste it in here.
Oh.
Because if your clipboard has the double quotes in it, it will escape it for you.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, yes, unless it's when you don't want it.
Right. Of course. So now here, if I just do a paste, it should escape it automatically.
Yes. Yep.
Sweet.
I think that's good enough to start.
Run it.
Yep. So we expect it to fail because it's going to return an empty string.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. Let's make it work. Well, you can pretty much copy the whole thing.
Yeah, I was going to say. But that will be short-lived. Because right now we're just only testing for song title.
Right. But that tells us we got it in the right place.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And so now,
right, a new test for a different, or parameterize this one to do other columns.
I think we would best sort of follow the 0, 1 many idea. This worked for one, and now the many can be missing 2 required columns.
Okay.
And I think we can say
Interesting. Does not exist. What do you think is better? Required columns is not, or when 2 required columns do not exist? There's 2 different ways of saying it here.
I kind of like missing better.
Okay.
Does not exist. Sounds a little weird.
Yeah. Let's get rid of that. And when.
So we can say when missing 1 required column.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something about that we're going to get multiple failure messages.
As multiple failure messages. It's really verbose.
No, I think we'll just have to not start with the word failure and just say multiple failures when. Or we could be more precise and just say 2 failures or 2 failure messages.
I like that better.
Yeah, except messages is misspelled.
Oh, picky.
Yep.
Actually, I don't mind at all. I was just being a wise ass.
Yeah, so let's
Steal.
let's seal that. And oh, interesting. Okay, so this is working at the extract column level, which is not going to give us multiple failures. So this message is actually wrong because this is too low level. You're actually only extracting a
Oh,
single column, so there's not possible for there to be multiple missing required columns at this
right.
level.
But there will be. We still
It will
need
be at a
to.
higher level, but I
True,
think
but
we need to
this.
change our message.
Yes. So let's. Because this will be
I
a
I
single
would I
missing
would I
required
would
column.
I would delete the body of the next test because it makes no sense for what we were going to do.
Oh, I see what you're thinking of doing this, and then let's force it to fail.
Yeah,
Missing required column.
right.
Make that fail. I
Which
think I
it
might have
will.
left in the wrong quoting thing. Yep. Let me rerun it. There was an underscore in there before it hit a mistaken underscore. Okay. So
All right,
now.
let's fix that.
And then we've got to generify it to, maybe generify is not the right word, but now have it deal with
Yeah,
a
so let's
different failing column.
parameterize it. Instead of writing another test, we can just parameterize the required column. So you're going to replace test with parameterized test.
I always forget
That always confuses me. I'm like, can I parameterize a
an
test?
existing test. Yeah.
But I think it has to construct stuff differently internally. That's why.
Do you have it memorized? Because I would go look and see what we did for other parameterized tests.
It's basically comma separated values.
Oh, it's a separate.
Yeah, it's a separate thing.
Okay. So does this need the parens or no?
No, because we're not adding any
Value source?
right.
Or you said what kind?
In this case, we want to have matching inputs and outputs, so CSV source is a better choice. So you'll open the curly brace, and it'll be easier to read if we start a new line. And then
Like
it's going to,
that?
yeah.
Or have the curly in there? Okay.
No, that's good. So this will be what we currently have. So the input is song title. And then inside of that is going to be a comma. And this is going to be tricky because we basically want that entire string without the outer double quotes, though. Yeah.
Should I close this quote first?
No, because this is one pair of input outputs. Oh, that's interesting. It basically took out. So
I think it's
you'll
because
have.
of this. If I did this,
Oh, I see. Okay.
that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. Put the
Oh, I'm
quote in
sorry.
first.
Right. Let's get this to pass so that we make sure that we've done our parameterization correctly. So we're going to have to replace, basically delete 33 and move that as you can introduce parameter on it. Yeah. And then you can introduce parameter on the contents of our assertion on 37. You don't have to select it.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Failure message?
Yeah, failure message. I love how it introduce parameter. Basically, the parameter disappear, the contents disappear because there's no callers. But this is perfect for this this case. It'd be nice if it could like
Oh,
parameterize it for us, but that's a
right.
little bit much.
That'd be asking a lot.
If we did everything right with our parameterization, this should work.
Yeah. Let's see.
Excellent. All right. So now we can add another pair.
So, but the thing is, it depends on this also. This is artist,
But
album
who cares?
title.
That's just
theme.
strings. Who cares?
Okay.
Right. They're just strings.
Got it.
So what's the other?
Something along this line where it would be. Actually, I'll just steal the whole darn thing.
You can just,
And then want this to be artist is also required.
Yeah.
If spelled correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm picky like that.
Yep. So that will fail because it's going to say artist is not song title.
Right. We've got it hard coded to just song title at the moment.
Right. What did we miss from our test setup? Oh, our column mapper has to be adjusted.
Oh, so we've got another source.
Yes. But that's the same as the required column name. So we can just pull that out into a variable. So if you select artist and then extract variable.
Just this part here?
Mm-hmm.
What? Control-Alt-V. Oh, it won't do a partial?
Sure.
Oh, it will. Okay. I just hit the wrong keystroke.
Let's call it required column name. Yep. And then we'll delete line 29. Delete line 29.
Oh, I see. Got it. No, I was just trying to grok it, what you're doing. So that's going to move into, was it already recalled? I see. Yep. Okay. Now I know what happened. I'm good. We made it the same name as the already existing parameter. I'm going to undo it. I want to see if I understand.
Actually,
yeah,
I think
see, it's already...
what you said before was actually right. And Suiji points that out, that it's the opposite. So we do need a third column in our CSV source.
Okay.
And I think what'll make it easier is if we pull out the entire header into the CSV source.
This is the header.
Yeah.
So introduce parameter for this.
Copy it first because it's going to go away when you introduce parameter.
Oh, right. Yeah. Header sounds good.
Yeah, header's fine.
And then that would be the third parameter.
Yes.
Will this work?
No, that's not what we want.
I just do it here. Let me fix it.
Basically want without the double quotes.
Yeah, this part.
This is where text blocks might make this easier. I don't know why it double escaped the \t.
Oh, interesting.
Because it thought you wanted that as the straight out. Take out the extra backslash. And then we need I'd probably copy what's currently in the above line from
and then
artist. No, just the last parameter.
This part?
Yeah, without the quote.
Yeah. to
and
there.
then and then we'll replace artist here with song title. Let's see if that works. Good. That works in the sense that it fails as expected.
Right, because it's just right now it's hard coded for just.
That's the failure we want. So success.
Yeah.
So now let's fix it.
Column name, right?
Yeah.
What is the?
Oh, you took out the other escape. You'll need that.
Oh, right.
So just pull out song title. Do an extract variable.
Ah, okay. And then we could just call it.
Just call it column name,
which already exists.
Yeah.
And then we delete that line.
Yep. That's a nifty little refactoring that unfortunately actually doesn't work on text blocks because it doesn't know how to. It can't do the concatenation with text blocks, but single line strings. This is very handy for parameterizing.
So now that should
work. Yeah. It does.
And it does. Okay, cool.
Let's do a commit since we now have some new functionality.
What else have we? Is that okay for that part?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we did. Oh, we also were checking for song title success.
Yeah. Or started to.
I don't think we should commit that because we weren't done with that. So let's.
But we disabled the test. No, we didn't. Thought we did.
We disable the test. That was just a rename, but later on we would disable the test. Those were all renames.
There it is.
That's the test we disabled. Yeah, so we don't want to commit that yet.
Got it. So we'll leave those three in. Cool.
Yeah. All right, so we now have useful error messages from our missing required column, at least at the extract column level. So that's now working.
But it deals with 2 columns. Is that sufficient? Because theme.
So remember, this level, it doesn't care. This is a single specific column.
Right. So it doesn't. It's at this point, it's been told, here's the required column. Make sure it's here.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the next level up that we want. So column mapper doesn't know anything about multiple missing columns. It is working at a single column at a time.
So now we can re-enable this.
Yes. And so what do we expect? We expect this to give us so we're missing song title. So we expect it to be that failure message where it says missing required column song title.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not. Yes. Because remember, we're copying the wrong failure message.
Right. Because here we're just doing the artist failure message.
Yeah. So let's swap that with just song title
to see what we get.
Yeah. We'll probably break some other tests. Oh no, didn't break any other tests. That's probably not good. So let's grab this and paste it into our test, since this is what we want.
Rerun.
Yep.
Okay, that's
all right.
passing.
Now let's change song title back to artist. When we did we check for messages elsewhere in this test class? So that's for multiple rows.
Parse all. Oh, sorry, that was parse all. Because we're still at the parse song level, right?
Well, so those, I think, messages are going to change because it's not about how many columns there are. Oh, I actually think that message is a little confusing.
The error message or the title of this?
The failure message, because it says must have at least 5. It's like, where does 5 come from?
Right.
Do
we want to make a note of that? Get back to it?
Yeah, let's just make a note of it, and we'll come back.
Okay, so that good enough?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And that was the only other place we were checking messages.
There's that one, parse all. That's parse all, but with 2 messages. So this one also needs to be fixed. Oh, wait a second. Oh, this one's.
Yeah, that's the same. That has the same problem.
Does it?
Mm-hmm. Because what does must have at least 3 mean? Where does that come from?
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay. So that one, and then this is the one we're currently working with.
All right. So,
should we rename this? Well, we made it generic on purpose because we wanted to parameterize it, right? The title.
mm-hmm.
Would we parameterize it, or?
Well, no. Remember, we're going to do one and then many. So this is now fine.
Right. This is the one. Actually, is this fine? I feel like something failed.
Oh, because we did song title. I think we want to make this artist, and then the multiple one be song have both artist and song title missing.
Got it. Okay, so change this to song title.
Right.
I Get There at the Wind and Fire song.
Well, remember that. I mean, you can change it.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't, but
Gratitude
DJ,
is what
man.
you had. Is what you had above.
Was it Gratitude? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, right there.
And so now this is missing artist.
If we run this, this should go back, bring us back to green.
Right. Yes.
And it does. Sweet.
All right. So now we can write the many version of this where we're going to get 2 failure messages because 2 required columns are missing. Didn't we start writing this test, or did you
I know.
delete the entire test?
No, I thought we. That's weird. Wait a second. Let me look at the run. If there's a disabled.
No, it wasn't disabled. We just written it and deleted the body.
I thought we did. Oh, wait a second. If we deleted the bot, no, it still should show up as. Would be the bottom one. Most likely. There it is. Nope.
That's the one we're typing. All right, maybe we deleted the whole test. I don't remember doing that.
Was it? No, I don't remember doing it either. I thought we were just getting rid of the body. You sure it wasn't the column mapper test?
Oh, maybe we were putting it in the wrong place. Let's take a look. Oh, there it is. Right, because that test makes no sense there. So let's delete that.
I just cut it so we could.
Yeah.
Because the name is pretty much.
Yep.
Accurate. Close this bottom window. 2 failure messages when missing 2 required columns.
Right.
So we could fix the name of this one while we're here.
Yep.
Failure when required column missing.
I think we might be useful to be more precise of 1 failure message when 1 required column missing. Then we get a little symmetrical.
Got it. Okay.
And here you could probably copy the body.
Guess we'll get rid of song title too.
Yep. That's what happens when you miss copy and paste. So it should certainly result in failure. And in this case, we expect size of 2. Or we could just duplicate the message.
Or both.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit easier. Yeah, and then let's duplicate that.
When you say duplicate, you mean?
Because we're going to need two values.
Right, and we want it to fail.
Well, we want the message to be correct.
How does contains exactly work with 2 messages? Is it
you just
comma?
Comma separated, because contains exactly takes a variable number of arguments.
So like that.
Yeah.
But with the correct word.
Yes.
Okay, so the first one will be artist, second will be song title. Does the order matter?
If we're saying contains exactly, order does matter. Do we care about order? I don't know. Do we care about order?
I don't know.
Well, put your customer hat on. Do you care about order?
No, because if we're saying the header defines the order, we don't actually care. Right? In other words, we're letting people pass in with different orders.
So then let's change it to contains exactly in any order. And I usually put the strings on separate lines.
Ah, that's a good idea.
All right, so we expect this to fail because it's only going to return one of the messages.
Yeah.
Right. And it tells us what we actually got, which is what we expected.
Yep.
So let's fix it.
So we want to add, so on failure, is
What
there
is
a,
what's the parameters to failure? So it takes a message or a list of messages.
and interestingly enough, we've got artist failure messages. So it returns. Will that ever be more than just a single message? Because if column mapper is
It's
working on one at a time.
As we bubble up things to a higher level, yes. Right. So what result song is going to return is actually 2 failure messages.
Results. Oh, right. I was more talking about here, artist failure message. It's saying plural, but it's
Well,
coming from a track column, which will always be a single
right now,
right now. Okay.
I mean, there's no harm in expecting multiple.
Right. Okay. It's not confusing. So then,
In fact, I'm not even sure if we still have a single failure message as a method. I know we have it as a parameter, but I think we always return it, or at least I thought we always returned it as a single, always as a list.
yes.
Yeah, it's always a list.
Okay. So we want to collect the failures into a list and return that. That's our goal.
Right.
Right now, is there a there's an is failure. I'm just wondering if we should have a guard clause instead of doing its success and have the guard clause collect the failures and then make return success the end of the method. Because obviously this isn't working, right? The whole and.
Well, I mean, that's a refactoring issue. But a guard clause is going to be uglier because it's going to be not is success or not is success.
Oh, so there isn't an is failure. Okay.
I mean, we want to do the simplest thing that we can possibly work. Right. So, so we just want to append the song title failure messages.
Even if it's,
Well, if it's empty, then it's not going to do anything.
oh, yeah, good point. I didn't even think of that. I was going down the path of we need to make sure each one is a failure. But if you're right, if it's empty, it's not doing anything. So in Java, can I just say plus?
No, you can't.
No. Okay.
So we can either create a new list and do an add all of both.
Oh, I see. We could do it at this point. No reason to create it early.
Well, you can't create it earlier.
Right.
Well, I guess you could.
You could.
But,
It just wouldn't be useful until
yeah.
this point. Right. So if spelled correctly. Array list.
Yes. I mean, we could do
And
a
then,
stream concat, but I think this is easier.
okay. And then you just do, where is it?
Just do add
Add
all.
all. And it would be, and then just comma.
No, you just have to call it multiple times.
Ah. Oh, add all because failure messages is multiple. Got it.
Right.
I was like, it's only a single message. Oh, right. No, it's a list.
It's a list.
Something like that.
Do you want to clean up those missing semis?
So particular.
Hey, don't blame me. I'm blaming the
Control Shift
compiler.
Enter. Yeah. Control Shift Enter. There you go. Control Shift Enter. I got to work on that keyboard shortcut. So will
All
this
right.
work?
Let's try it.
Yeah, I think so. Nope. Oh, wait a second. No. The test we were just wrote may have passed. We may have broken other stuff.
Yeah, we broke other stuff.
Yeah. 2 failure messages when missing. So it looks like, yeah, we broke other stuff, but, and these, I don't know about you, but these seem like the ones we have over here in Jira saying, we got to deal with this.
Yeah, but they're failing for a reason that has nothing to do with the problem we
That,
had with them.
okay. So what do you think? Top down, bottom up,
Um,
go in the middle?
I think we shouldn't be changing anything with tests that are failing for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
So what I think we should do is disable our current test.
And then deal with those. This one. And then we should take a break.
Yeah.
How do we want to say on this one?
Need to fix required column error collection or failure collection.
Okay.
And then let's change the code back because we want to get to what we want to do is a refactoring that does things, accumulates messages correctly, which we're going to have to think about. Can you undo the whole thing? I don't like commented out stuff.
Okay. So you're saying
just gutter revert. Yeah.
like that. Okay.
Yep. Because we know how to solve that problem. When we need to solve it again, we can do it.
True.
But we might not want to solve it that way. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Cool.
Let's take a break, and when we come back from the break, we'll see how we can change some innards to make this not fail a whole bunch of tests when we fix this problem. All right, so we'll take a break, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Cool.
Hey, folks. So just a reminder, if you are not already a member of my Discord community, um, great place to join us and talk about Java design issues, architecture, testing, test-driven development, IntelliJ, all the stuff that you see us do here on the stream, we talk about in the community. You can also find out more about me, and I do coaching both for teams and for individuals. So if you're looking for some help in making your code more testable, uh, go ahead and check out my About page and contact me. And you may have heard about my TDD game. So I've only got a few copies left before I run out. I've got some more on the way, but production takes time. It takes like 8 weeks to get stuff produced. So if you want to order your TDD game, now's the time. Otherwise, you might have to wait a bit. And you can check out a video I did on the site. If you go to tdd.cards, you'll see a video. It was a presentation I did with the Agile Lunch and Learn folks, talk about predictive test-driven development, which is what we've been doing here all day. And then I run through the game and talk about that as well. So check that out at tdd.cards. All right, and we're back.
Woohoo.
So let's take a look at where we're basically the tests we highlighted before, but for a different reason.
Do you want to go look at those tests? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it was this one of them.
Yeah. So what you want is, instead of find in files, you want to do find symbol. That's the more accurate way to do it.
So that's this one.
Yes.
And that is Control Alt Shift N. Oh, that's
Yes.
a gymnastic one.
Yeah, so it goes along with sort of IntelliJ's way of doing shortcuts is the you're always adding modifiers to the same key. So Control N is find class, because that's most likely what you're doing, what you want to do often.
Yeah.
Less often, but still often enough, you do files. So you add one key, which is the shift, and then symbols, which you probably don't do a lot, although I actually think maybe would do it more. Is then all three keys. And so it's much more precise because it's looking for actual symbols, right? So it's looking at parsed information.
Right.
So it's always going to be more accurate than a general find, because a general find could find strings,
Right.
or comments or something. All right. So what we want here, so these failure messages, the problem was at the we were turning basically the same errors multiple times. Right? So what do we where would we look to figure out what's going on here?
In what way?
Well, so why did we see it returning basically 4 error messages instead of 2 here? What was sort of the underlying issue?
Oh, that's what we saw in that on the
Yeah.
error message. Okay, I didn't. It was pretty quick. I didn't. notice that.
Oh, well then let's recreate it. If you didn't grok it, you got to tell me because I assumed you got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I didn't.
You got to be a good pair and tell me when you don't understand something.
Oh, well, I didn't know at the time that I needed to. Never mind.
Okay.
It didn't occur to me. So.
Well, let's recreate the problem.
Yeah. Where was that?
Well, it wasn't in the test. Let's recreate the problem in our code.
Oh, right. It was in the code. Was it in column mapper?
Yeah. No, not in column mapper. In parse song.
Right, parse song, not parse all. Right.
Yeah.
You mean the thing that I commented out? We could have just.
So what you can do is you can go to local history. So right click local history. Show history. And you can show history for selection if you selected it. But it's pretty obvious where it is. It's the only change. And so if you click that little double arrow, it'll copy back what we had before.
Got it.
And this is why I don't feel the need.
You're right. Don't need to comment that
stuff out.
Yep. Yeah, you just.
So let's run it and make sure we understand what's going on.
Just pick any test.
Well, that test right there. So what's going on? Why are we getting 4 instead of 2?
Not entirely sure why. We're getting double for each.
Mm-hmm.
But are we missing both artist and?
That's irrelevant.
So that's not the doubling from that perspective.
Well, there is some failure there, but why are we getting double messages? So when we're troubleshooting something like this, what's the first place we look?
Where the caller is happening?
No, what's generating those messages? I don't remember where it is, but what's generating those messages? Because whatever's generating those messages, that's where we would start. So where did those messages get generated? What's generating those number columns mismatch failure?
I mean, I would do this.
Sure.
And go, where's that coming from?
Yeah. And you'd want to look at code. So
yeah. So this is in song parser. This is in column mapper.
Mm-hmm.
Is this test checking the number of columns? Let me go back to the test. The failing test is this one. For failed import. 2 malformed songs. Artist song release. So not enough columns.
Right.
I almost want to change the name of that from malformed songs to with.
Well, let's not lose context.
No, I know. Yeah. So we go back to.
So what are you looking for? Because you did a search, which was great, but then you ended up back here, and I'm not sure what else you're searching.
Yeah, I was just trying to see the usage. So the reason I was checking here, I'll show you again, is this result failure is. Oh, are they both the same? So this is in song parser.
So yes, this is something that popped out for me is we have 3 different places where it looks like we're returning very similar error messages.
Right. There's this one,
Yeah.
which is extract column.
So is that one the same as the second one? Certainly looks the same.
That's minimum columns. This one
So
is
the other thing so let's go to the second one. Is that even
when you say go to it like this, you mean?
yeah. Mhm.
Parse song without header. It's not even being called.
Yeah, so we've got some dead code.
Yeah.
So we should probably remove that.
Where did that? Wow, that's a lot of code that we just nuked.
Yeah, because we switched over to the column mapper and we never yeah, so if we're gonna select slave delete, we propagate it all the way down.
Okay.
Because we no longer have this idea of a minimum number of columns. That was what we started with, but then we decided to go to minimum, we decided to go with required named columns. So let's search again, because that
Yeah. Now it
that
just
was a
made
bit
it
of a red herring that there were 2 places for that.
right. Those 3 actually.
I mean, that there was three code places.
What?
Change in
Change.
project. I don't know how it got flipped to directory.
Yeah.
So now we only have one place where that message is defined.
Yeah. Just a column mapper now.
Yeah. So that's comforting, so that we don't have it in multiple places.
Yeah, I was a little bit freaked out by it being in 2 places. That's what I was looking at. I was like, why? What are the usages that are different?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was first important because I noticed, so BDSL mentions make the message different. If they were both in use, then we might have done that.
Yeah.
But since they were actually, it was a red herring, we had some dead code. So that was wanted to eliminate that confusion.
Yeah.
So now that we know precisely where this message is generated, why are we getting it generated more times than we were before?
Okay, we're getting an array of row columns in. What is header columns do not match? Just a test. Yeah. Okay.
So does it make sense for us to do this at this level?
Oh, extract column is called multiple times.
Mm-hmm. So before it wasn't a problem because we were only pulling the failure from artist. Now we're pulling the
Right.
failure from song title, and eventually we'll also pull it from themes. And
Right.
so every time we call extract column, we're going to get this failure. So that's wrong.
So this means we move it up out of column mapper and into parser. The check.
Well,
Is that what you're saying? Or
I'm all I'm saying is that it's at the wrong level. I'm not saying where we should
what
necessarily do
level it
it.
should go to? I see.
So the question is, who has this information? So this seems like the responsibility of column mapper to say, if you're gonna it seems a little odd to say there's a mismatch, but column mapper is the one that has the information.
What's column mapper's constructor look like? It's got the header
And the required columns.
and the required columns.
So column mapper is the right thing in terms of it's the one that should evaluate whether the header columns match or not. So since we know we don't want it being done here,
When we do it,
or
sorry, keep going.
Or this error, this failure is different. So where is this being called from?
Song parser. I'm going to move song parser above so we can.
Yeah.
So it's called in parse song. It's called 4 times. That's all of them, right? 1, 2. Oh no, 61. What's that?
That's for the themes.
Ah, right. But it is called a fourth time, 5th time.
Well, technically it's being called up to
Right. Number of
up
themes.
up to 7 times.
Right.
Or 8 times. But so we need to sort of rethink how we want to enforce number of columns, or do we even bother?
Do we really care about number of columns, what you're saying? Because really we care that required columns are there. And that's sufficient.
Well, is it? So the failure that this is checking for is we have 5 columns in our header and only 3 columns in our data.
So it's a mismatch.
Right.
Yeah, so it's different than required.
Right. Because if we don't protect against this, then our extraction when we do the parsing, it's just we're going to get an index out of bounds. So we need to make sure that basically we have a rectangular set of columns and rows. So that means that our extract our check here is valid, but we're checking the same thing every time we call extract column. So what can we do about that?
You mean versus checking it once when we instantiate the column mapper, or somewhere around that?
Something else other than what we're currently doing, because what we're currently doing is reporting the same failure multiple times, and that's wrong because it's the same exact problem. And in fact, there's no point in continuing for this kind of failure because we're never gonna it's never gonna work.
So at this point, it's an exception, not a.
Well, it's not an exception because it's still input validation, but we want to, in a sense, treat it as something as a different kind of failure, which means it
Like
shouldn't be
stop.
in it shouldn't be an extract method, an extract column.
Right. So would there be like a validate type method that would
Maybe.
be called once,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
then if that fails, then we just fail and bail at that point?
Yeah. I think that's what we want. I think we want a separate column mapper,
Validate or something.
check rows. And then if it returns a failure, we just immediately return that. Because we still want that failure for that row. But we only want it once. And we don't want to
Right.
continue with the rest of this method. So let's let's do that. So let's revert the change at the bottom because we now
One quick
know.
question. So in
Yeah,
the parse song, the reason we're getting multiple is because parse song is called
once per row.
multiple times
Mhm.
per by the parse all,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting the same error and over again because the data is okay. Okay, reverting.
Well, I'm not sure that what you said is entirely correct. It has nothing to do with
Okay.
right. We're getting multiple, so we want multiple errors if there are multiple rows that don't match the number of columns in the header. But we're getting multiple of the same error because we're calling extract column multiple times. Right? So line 41, extract column, will return the failure of the number of columns don't match.
Oh,
Line
I see it now.
42
Yeah,
will
yeah,
do the
it's
same thing. And line
right, right.
43 and line 44 and line 45 multiple times.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're
I got it. So in other
so
words,
we're going to get the
this
same.
is coming. Yes. So in other words, we're calling this is so another way of saying it is this test applies for the entire row, even though
Correct.
we're extracting one
Yes.
column at a time.
Right.
And that's why we're getting multiples. And this
Yes.
should not be called multiple times
Right.
once it's sufficient.
Right.
And it's a fatal failure versus a failure.
Well, it's a don't process this row further
right.
failure. Because we don't want to completely fail because we'd like to maybe that was just one row that was errant and the rest of the rows are fine.
Right.
So let's run all the tests. I'm not thrilled with sort of. So let's run all the tests again.
Before reverting or
Yeah,
after?
because I want to. I'm not.
Oh,
We
make
were
sure there's
looking,
no other.
well, we were looking at the song importer test for a failure, and I'm not happy with the distance that has to what we're working with.
Got it. So this is another one.
Can we look at parse single song test?
Yeah.
I think this is the closest test for us to look at. Right. So this one, we're parsing a single song. We expect a single message. We're currently getting two messages. So we want to fix that. But first we want to refactor. So let's now undo the.
I'm just trying to find something. There it is. Okay, that's the test. There it is, song parser. Let's revert this and then move it back to the bottom.
So BDSL, no, that's not the problem. We want to concatenate all failures from extract column because extract column causes other failures like the column is not found. So column not found, we want to accumulate all those. The problem is we're mixing up per row failures versus per column failures. So that's what's going on here. Because artists could not be found, that's a failure, but we don't want to stop there. Song title might not be found, but we don't want to stop there. We might not have a theme. We don't want to stop there. We want to basically give you all of the validations at once. All right, so we should be back to all passing, right? Okay.
Yep.
So now let's refactor. Although I guess it's technically not a refactor. But from our current test point of view, it's a refactor. We want to pull out the guard, the check here. We want to pull that out to a separate method.
Oh, right. Can that be? No, it's a return.
Yeah, so we can extract it to a method.
Ah, okay. I selected wrong.
You hit the wrong. No, you hit the wrong key.
Ah.
So.
Acquire.
Yeah. Well, let's call this what we want to eventually call it, which is check columns match or something like that.
What do you think about validate columns match? They're kind of similar.
So I'm using sort of the the naming conventions that the JDK use. So like objects has check equal or check not null and things like that. Validate feels like it does. Maybe validate's better because we actually are returning a result. So I'm fine with that actually. Because check actually just is maybe the wrong context here.
Okay, that was a pure refactoring. Shouldn't have changed anything from a test perspective. Yep, still green.
Did it extract that if length not equal null? Is that what it did?
What? Oh, what's this?
I mean, I understand what it's doing. That's interesting that that's how it extracted it.
Oh, I see what it did.
I don't like that.
No, that's weird.
Well, now that we know the refactoring work, let's clean it up because that's really terrible.
So in which way?
Well, let's rename the variable because that's terrible.
Yeah, that's the first horrible result. Result.
Yeah, result is fine. And we only want to return it if it's a failure. So if result is failure, return result. Or is not success.
The dreaded bang.
But let's also, yeah.
Is that what you were about to say?
Yes. And then we need to fix up where we return null in the other method.
Oh, hi.
So we should just return a success result.
Yeah. What is it? So what do we have to put it? We've been doing that.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Rerun the test.
Yes. So we can't return result void because if it does fail, we need to actually be returning something. There is an issue around success, having a success object, but I don't think we want to. Since later on we actually do return the success value as an empty string, it does need to be an empty string. So on line 31, we basically have the rule that if it's an optional column, we return an empty string as a result.
So now we want to, ultimately we want to call this just once, right?
Right. So now what we want to do is we want to make the method public and basically have all callers call this one instead.
So all the callers to extract column we'll call it just once as like a fail and bail.
So
is that what you're saying?
Yes, but before we do that, what we want to make sure is how our sort of what are our tests doing? So which tests are calling extract column directly?
3 in the column mapper.
Yeah, so let's take a look at those. So that one is where we get an empty string. So that has nothing to do with columns mismatching. Next one.
Symbol. Oh, yeah, no.
Well, if we're looking in the same file, you don't do search for symbols.
I don't need to. Okay.
You can just do
old school.
Well, you could do an Alt J. That's what I tend to do.
Alt J.
Because it'll just select the next one. And all we care about is the context. So failure when missing one required column. So again, this is about required column, so that's fine. So this is the one that's going to have to change because it's no longer the responsibility of extract column. In fact, this is going to be the method we want to retarget it to the method we just created.
Right. So we would, instead of calling extract column, we would call the new method that the validate, and then make sure the
right.
So if we just, I'm going to undo the the Alt J so I don't change in three places. This one here.
You can just hit escape.
Yeah. Well, escape jumps back to the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I did it the third time, then use the mouse to click to get the focus here. So instead here, we're going to be calling, and then it needs array of columns.
Right. What it doesn't need is the name of a column because that's actually irrelevant. And that should have been a hint to us that that maybe there was something not quite right. Because we were passing in a column when the message and what we're testing has nothing to do with which column we're asking for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we want failure when, so we want, yeah, we don't have the helper for this one. So it's still success is false.
Right. Yep.
And failure message
is should still be the same.
Still be the same. So this is
just generated. Yeah. So this should just be correct.
Right. And it is. So then we have to remove this test from here, but first we need to have all the production callers of extract column validate first.
No, that's what why we were looking at the other extract columns is they don't care about this. They're not checking that part of the error message. So all we now need to do is pop out is really cut and paste this validate check and move it up here.
When you say, you mean
so inside an extract column, pull out the validation up to this level.
Extract column.
In column mapper. Take out 21 through 24.
Oh, so you're saying cut.
Yep, cut that.
And then do it here.
Yeah.
Oh, the result type is different.
Right. So we need to basically transform it into a result failure of the different type.
So I probably need to do multi-line. Let me do result. Is it result song?
No, just say just say return result dot failure. And then that's result dot failure messages.
And then that will convert it to of type result song.
Yes.
Got
it.
So now F10.
Yeah, run it.
What I meant to say was run the IO free test.
Yep. So technically, yes, maybe we would write a success test for a validate columns match. I don't feel the need to. I feel like it's very well covered by all the other tests that are assuming that it matches. And we can try that out by basically inverting the validate, do mutation testing, and see if we've got that covered. So if you put a bang in front of 33, we should see failures. Yeah. So got a whole bunch of failures. Okay, so
yeah,
that was basically a refactoring for most usages. One of our tests now tests the validate directly, but now we can go back and make that other change. So we probably want to do a commit. Do you want to check the TSV song parser?
I will. I was just going to write the sentence for the first two first, and then.
Okay.
I don't like that sentence. Not great, but I'll let the brain sizzle on that one. What are we doing here?
Well, we deleted some dead code. We probably should have committed after that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
But mainly this is where we pulled up the validation. I think that's redundant because that's what you said in the first line.
So really the only thing was we added a test for.
Sure.
Okay. Ship it.
All right. So now we can go back and we haven't done anything here because we actually haven't touched the failure messages.
Yeah. Have we?
We haven't finished that because we don't get the failure message for that.
Right. Okay.
So that's what we're about to do is re-enable that test.
Which was, actually I can just, this one.
So this should now fail because we're still not returning the concatenation of failure messages.
Multiple.
Yep.
Expected 2, size 1.
Now we can redo that fix.
Right. The verbose fix. Is that still the right way to do it?
It's the easiest way to do it.
Can I steal?
So you picked the wrong option. You picked selection, but you didn't select anything.
Oh, I didn't select it.
If you want to use that, you can select the area that you know the change happened around. So you can select line 56. There you go. So now this should get the test to pass.
Yeah.
And it does.
I don't like how big this method's getting.
Why? It still fits on the screen. For some people, that's their maximum. I agree. It's a bit long. But it passed our new test. So let's do a commit.
Hmm.
All right. So you're not happy with the length of this method. What should we do about it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if this could be put into a method, a helper. Or is it just going to be a big? I don't know. That's the first thought that came to mind. I feel like inlining this would be a bit too chatty.
Say again?
I was thinking if I inlined result into 42, I feel like that's a bit of a
Well,
too
you
chatty.
can't because you used it twice. So that would be really
it's
awkward.
used elsewhere. You're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only idea I have at the moment is this. Do you think it's worth it, or do you think it's?
I think we have a bit more work to do.
Which might impact this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
So, and this is part of this is because we're using a result class that isn't sort of fully functional in the sense that sort of a more functional approach would basically have all of the code and from 46 through 50 as basically one long fluent call. And so what it would be doing is as your base, in a sense, you're passing one result into the next one and then into the next one, and it's sort of carrying it through. And so what you end up with is a single result object with any accumulated failures. The problem is accumulating the successes is not there's no good way to do it. Because it's not like we're streaming across stuff. We're actually pulling things out. So, So there's kind of not a great way that sticks out for me of doing this other than creating a map of string to string, which is artist, basically the column name to its data. And then when we create the song, we just pass it a map. So as we sort of iterate through, we're just doing extract column, right? Because one of the things that I look for, and this was a lesson that J.B. Rainsberger nailed into my head, is what's unique and what's duplicated along lines, in this case, 46 through 50. So there are only two things that are unique. The header, right? So the string at the end, and what we're assigning it to. So if we used a different result class where what we get is we extract basically 46 through 50 into extract these columns, and we give it a list of column headers, and it gives us a map or a failure. Then we can just say, is that result success? If so, create a song with that map. But I think we need to finish up the extract themes before we go down that road.
And then later on, when we introduce the newly discovered dependency for release type, that's going to make it even more interesting.
Yeah, well, that will definitely push it to
the map approach.
It will help when we have a method that yeah. I mean,
because then
it'll help. It'll help because it'll be a more specific method that basically is just parsing it into, basically converting it into a map is what we'd be doing.
And that would be our first cross column dependency, where release type,
right,
if it exists and is of a certain type, then release title must exist. Validation.
Yeah, I mean, it might be easier to just do that as another initial validation, right? Rather than trying to extract columns, we immediately validate that up front. Because again, there's no point in doing anything else. It's a trade-off, right? Because if we did the validation at line 45 to say, if you have release type, you must have release title, then the trade-off, the benefit there is we immediately stop and we don't bother looking for anything else. The trade-off is if you're also missing artists, you won't find that out.
Right.
But it does keep column mapper only about worrying about individual columns. And that's all we'd have to do for that requirement. So what do we want to do next?
I still think I want to punt on the this requirement.
Okay.
What I was just talking about for now.
Okay. All right.
Unless you think implementing it will ensure we don't box ourselves in a corner later by our current design.
You always box yourself into a corner with any design, and then you just have to refactor your way out.
Yeah,
True.
true.
That's why it's evolutionary design.
There you go.
I think we can check off 78 though.
Jira 78 completed.
Do we want to fix the failure messages and then we can handle multiple themes?
Probably should.
Okay.
Get that out of the way.
Let's do that.
Control Shift Alt
N.
N. Really?
Because it's Control N, which you should know fairly well,
Yeah.
because that gets you
Control N.
classes.
This one's Shift
And so
N.
then it's just modifiers for to get the other ones. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Whereas action is A.
Actions, but actions is not looking through your code, so it has nothing to do with your parse code. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a single failure of this? So this one has 2 failure messages, and I'd like to change one that has single messages. Didn't we pull out that in Jira? What was the
You're
other
right,
one?
we did.
Yeah.
This one.
Yes, that's the one. So what would we like it to say? We'd like it to say, in this case, well, you're the customer with your customer hat on. What do you want it to say?
Well, at this point, we've got artist and song title. And requirement is a theme. So it's really not about number of columns.
But that's what this test is testing about.
It's testing columns.
It's explicitly saying with not enough columns. So what do we?
Right.
So the column headers are irrelevant. It's just there's a mismatch between the header columns and the data columns.
So it's really a mismatch. It's not about number of columns.
Well, it's for a row with not enough columns.
Right.
It might be more clear if the sample data we use has nothing to do with required columns, because that might be misleading.
Now I'm confused. When you said, but
So
how can we have
you
sample data without required columns? Because wouldn't it fail because it's missing the required columns?
But the check of column number mismatch is done first. Right. I mean, we could leave it this way. I'm fine with that, but you were initially confused about the required columns when this is not about required columns.
Right.
This has nothing to do with required columns.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but we still need that test because we still want to check that there's not a mismatch, which wherever that is here. This guy.
Right. So the question still is, what do you want the message to say? Because we found this message confusing because we weren't sure where 2 or 3 were coming from. Specifically, we were unsure where 3 was coming from.
Yeah, we could. So we could say what the expectation is. Number of columns, those 2 must have it.
Write sketch out what you'd like as in writing, because it's hard for me to track when you're speaking it out loud. You can put it as a comment above.
Well, I was going to just do it in the message because you asked what the message
that's fine.
would look like.
I just thought a comment might be easier.
Oh. Number of columns of 2 must have at least 3 Something like that. Would that be helpful? Because we're looking at the header. Those are the header names.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think now the problem is that the 2 is very distant from the data it represents.
Yeah.
Oh, I was suggesting going the other way.
Okay.
So what I tend to do in my error message is tell me what's wrong first and then give me details.
Mm.
So the problem isn't the header rows. That's the problem is the data row.
So would you have it before the number of columns, or after?
I would put the number first because otherwise I'm gonna have to scan further to find out.
Something along that line? I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure how to punctuate it.
I'd probably put a comma there. Yeah, that
And
probably
then
would
with this period, like that.
sure. Well, it's not have at least. It's must have columns matching because it can't have. I mean, it could have more, but we're looking for a mismatch. Yeah, I don't think you need the colon in front of 2.
Oh,
I think it's a good start.
okay. Yeah.
If you're gonna have a period there, you're gonna have to have a period at the end of the whole thing. Yeah. So the problem is that there might be 8 or 10 columns, and telling the difference between 9 and 10 is going to be very difficult. So this specific test is using 2 and 3, but there are scenarios where it's much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All
Okay.
right.
So run it, and it should fail.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Do we know row columns?
Yeah. So that's row columns.
Oh, right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
You're just moving the column, moving it around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so remember to delete the brackets because we get that for free with the 2-string.
So the first S is
the last arrays to string thing.
yeah. So I move that over.
Nope.
Oh, wait a second. Nope. Here.
Right.
And this is the percent %S. Now this we have to. Do we even have that?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
maybe in
header,
the
no, that's header columns, right? We have that right there. I don't know where you're going. We have header columns dot size on line 35 at the end. So you want to raise to string of headers columns.
ah.
So we want that, keep that, and then we want to add on one more parameter. I think header columns is not an array. That's why. Because it's a list. So we can just do header columns. Yep. Let's see if that works. We expect the other tests that use this to fail. But what we're looking to see is if the current one is passing.
Which is this one, and
so can we open it up at the bottom? Let's do a compare.
Where did that go? There it is.
Your expectation was wrong.
Right, song title.
Yep.
So now that one passes.
Right, and now we expect the other ones to fail because, and those I think we can just characterize.
Excuse me. So you think just boom, boom, characterize?
Yep.
And we. Is it easier to pull from here?
I don't think it's easier to pull from there because that concatenates everything together.
Wow, still gonna.
No, you've already copied it with quotes, so you don't need the quotes there. That looks good.
Yeah, that one just turned green.
Yep. Do the same thing for that one.
For this one. Are we really another hour?
Yep. Time flies.
It does. Flies when you're having fun.
So you could have just copied it because it already had the correct output.
Oh, sorry. Let me
That's
undo
right.
it. What were you saying? Copy.
I'm just saying you can look at the error message.
Oh,
error.
right.
It's already got the right output, and you don't and you won't need. Yeah, so copy double quote to double quote, and then you could just select, increase selection. Control W one more time, delete, and then paste.
Now we should be green.
There we go.
Commit and then break.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. This was just clean up error failure message for mismatched columns. All right. All right, we'll take a break. And then when we come back, so we can check off 79 and 80, we'll basically have to handle multiple themes.
Sweet.
So we'll do that when we come back from the break. So we'll see you.
And now we know about persistent DB is now much lower than 30%.
Yeah. So there's a thing in baseball games called I forget exactly what it's called. It's win percentage likelihood. It's basically a graph as the game progresses. You know, somebody gets a home run, it increases. So basically, it's what's the probability of someone winning, and if it's going down the wrong way, you know your team's in bad shape. And so slowly, as the couple of hours have gone by, the likelihood started low and 30% has been going down, and now it's pretty much 0.
We need to make a plugin for that.
Yeah. We should, and then you can have wagering on that, although that's not legal in California. All right, let's take our break and we'll come back and do our multiple themes handling.
Sounds good.
So as a reminder, if you're not already a member of our Discord community, go to ted.dev/discord and join up. It's free. It's a great place to ask questions about basically all the stuff we do here on the stream, both this pairing stream and the solo streams that I do. So test-driven development, design, refactoring, IntelliJ shortcuts, all that stuff. There's channels for all of it, including hexagonal architecture and domain-driven design. So all the good stuff that helps make your code more testable. So join up the Discord. Also announce when what the streaming schedule is, so you can find out more than just when you get the go live message. You can find out in advance by looking at the announcements channel. If you go to the roles channel, you can select that you want to be notified and pinged when I do announcements relating to going live, because I don't ping everyone because that's annoying. You can also find more about me. Go to ted.dev about, and I do just like I do the same kinds of things with individuals and teams, coaching to help make your code more testable. So working with legacy code, making it more testable, introducing test-driven development as appropriate, mostly focusing on refactoring and ensembling to help introduce that. And my TDD game, check out tdd.cards as the site, and you can watch a video that I did at the Agile Lunch and Learn, where I walk through predictive test-driven development, which is what we do here on stream. And then I walk through the board and card game, and it's really fun. Lots of people enjoy it, and I've only got a few copies left in stock. So if you want to get a copy, order soon. All right, we're back.
Me too. Handle multiple themes.
So we can close issues 79 and 80.
Oh yeah, Jira 79 closed. Jira 80 closed. I like that we still giggle about that.
Yeah.
So that's at the column mapper level, I presume.
Certainly a good place to start. Can you delete line 21?
Yeah, that's pretty annoying.
So actually, since this is at the individual column level, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not seeing anything here. Song level. Extract themes.
So we currently handle multiple themes.
Are we not testing for multiple themes?
Well, let's look at our tests.
Yeah. I'm gonna try that other one. Was it Control-Shift-T? No. Yeah, Control-Shift-T on Windows. It doesn't go to the test. Yeah, it's class name based. So parse songs, if I remember correctly, is a nested class down below. Okay, not enough columns. Want to rename this? Get rid of the returns.
Yeah.
While we're here.
Yep.
Failure result for a row with not enough columns. Successful for a row with required columns. Success. I love less words in a method name. For a row with required columns in different order. This one we need the one failure message for one recorded, 2 failure messages when missing 2. Yeah, so we're not doing much in the arena of themes.
So what are we actually missing then for themes?
Is it just that we've not tested having multiple themes?
I'm pretty sure we've tested for multiple themes. We're probably not testing for failures in those themes.
Oh, back to production code.
Right. So when we parse an individual song, we don't check for any failure
On the
on
themes.
themes. So if we are, I think it's we're not. So if we're missing theme 1, basically if we're missing themes, we're not checking for that.
Right, because here we extract theme.
Yeah, we extract themes correctly, unless we have an error. So if we've got the themes, we extract them correctly. If we don't have any themes, we're not checking for that. We don't have a test for that. So we need a test for that.
And again, at the song parser level.
Yeah.
Just add it at the end?
Sure.
Okay, what do I want to call this one? Failure. When missing theme. Now we're doing it at the song level.
Yeah, when missing theme 1.
Right, because theme 1, you have to have at least that.
Right. And so if somehow you have only theme 2, that's not good enough. You need theme 1. And if you're going to have a theme 2, it requires a theme 1. So theme 1 is required. So that's what we want. Yeah. Probably want the one from above it.
Let's go farther up. Oh, that's an order one. Now let's do.
No, that's fine too, because we're going to pull out theme 1 anyway. Unless you want to go up one more and grab one that's in the correct order.
Yeah, I was going to go with this approach. Just a little bit of a cognitive. And then we don't want the theme. Oh, wait a second. We want it in the header. We want it missing in the body.
No, because then that would just be a mismatch of columns. We want to say you didn't even include that column, right? You forgot to copy that column from the spreadsheet.
Got it. So it's like this.
Yeah.
Assert result. It's failure. We could start with that and then build it out.
Right.
So that should. Well, we actually don't know what it's going to do.
I believe that will fail because we're not checking for failures. Because extract themes just returns a list. So we're gonna get a success.
Right.
So it's gonna fail to fail.
It's gonna fail to fail. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Should not have succeeded, but it did. I'm gonna be annoying and have us fix the grammar on that.
On this one?
Yeah. Can we go find that? That's not going to be a symbol. That you're going to want to do find in files.
Oh.
Because that's a string.
Touche.
Can we put a comma before the but?
Should not have succeeded, but it did.
Yeah. I'm now wondering if we should flip it around. Succeeded, but should have failed. I think that's easier to read.
Yeah, the it thing was bugging me.
Yeah.
Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that much better.
Yeah. Always keeping our error messages readable and incrementally improving them all the time.
It's like whenever I type the word it, I have to have this, I need to have a heuristic going, why are you saying it? What,
Mhm.
how can this be changed?
Yep. Yep.
I seem to do that more frequently than I would like. Okay.
All right.
So now we need to make it pass. So this returns a list, not, do we just check for an empty list or do we have to have a guard within extract themes? And then extract themes returns a result which contains the list.
I think we're going to um, well, what's the failure here?
In this case, there's no themes, or theme one is not defined. But at the moment, there's no themes defined.
Right. So
Or should this,
I think
sorry, no, that's different.
no. So the problem is in we're basically filtering out failures because of line 67. And we don't want to do that anymore. What we'd like to do is group by.
Can you just go, before you go into the details of group by, just high level, what are you thinking?
What we want to end up with from the overall stream is map that maps basically booleans. So the map will have two entries in it, one for the results of failure and the one for the results of success.
Um,
And then basically if the failure one is not empty, then we return it.
so this would apply for any, that would apply for any theme. So would that still,
No, because not all themes are required. So the only one that could possibly fail, in other words, give a result that is a failure result, is if theme one isn't there.
and what did we decide for theme 2, 3, and 4? Could it be
Those become
jumping
empty.
from,
Those
no,
become
no,
empty. Oh, sorry.
can you jump? Could the spreadsheet be something in theme 1, nothing in theme 2, and then something in theme 3?
We currently allow for that, yes.
We do, okay.
Right, because what we do is we just filter out any. So since 2, 3, and 4 are all optional, if they're not there, we'll get an empty string and we'll drop them up from lines on line 69.
Got it.
So it can be theme 1 and then theme 4. We've said that that's okay. What we can't have is theme 2 and theme 3.
Right. You have to have theme 1.
You have to have it. You have to have at least theme 1, and then everything else is whatever you want.
Right. And let me just check one more thing. What about, I mean, I see where you're going with trying to do this within extract themes and with the stream within extract themes.
I'm not saying it's the only way. It's a way.
It's a way. I'm just wondering if it's, in a
It
way,
might.
it's
It
kind
might
of
just.
late versus, because if we said, let's just say in 44.5, we say, column mapper must have theme 1.
Then that would be treating theme 1 differently than the other ones. Because what we want is, if you're missing artist, song title, and theme 1, we want a failure message. We want 3 failure messages.
Right.
Where I thought you were going was, in extract themes, we could do up front
A check.
a check for theme 1.
Right. And then would we then change the return type? Or if the list of string is empty, it just means that.
No, I think we need to change the return type. I think we need to return
a result. Or can result handle that? Result of.
It's going to be a result of a list of string. Yeah, because it's just a type. So it's in the sense it's a result of list, which is fine. But so we're going to need to change extract themes to be result of list of string. So you should probably do that as our first step.
Right. We just do it by declaring it that way at the calling point here, and then have it autofix, or will it autofix?
I might change the return type in extract themes first, and then propagate out from there.
Gotcha. So
actually, I might even change what I meant to say was I would change what we're actually returning and then cause it to propagate from there.
Oh, I see.
So we go to list. When what we really want, I was going to map it, but there's no point in doing that. So let's pull that into a variable, and then we'll change the return.
That meaning
where your cursor currently is. Yeah. And so that's our themes. Can you move your mouse, because it's hovering over something at the bottom?
Oh,
yeah, thanks. And so now we want to return is not themes, but we want to turn result. And then dot. Right now we're assuming success, so then success. And then themes.
Why is it not happy?
Because our return type is now wrong.
Oh, right. What we were trying to do.
Yes. So second option. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't propagate to the caller.
Oh, I didn't expect it to propagate that far.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a change signature. Yep.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Now, is that right? Is actually is result string going to work for us? Can we go open up result, because I forget what we did for. So values is already a list. So when we do a success, we actually can pass in multiple instances. Oh, so we don't have to do result list of string. It's just result string. It just happens to have multiple values. That's fine. So let's go back to the parser and fix up other compile errors.
What's the problem?
So that we just need to extract the values.
Oh.
Yeah. And let's put that on a new line. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the only one where we don't do get first. Yes, this is a custom result class that we wrote a couple of episodes ago, or a few episodes ago. Several episodes. Are we compiling?
Find out. Nope. Oh, no, compiling, but failing.
So how are we failing? Well,
it was the test we just wrote.
yeah, but why the other one's failing?
Yeah.
Can we actually look at what the failure is?
Meaning here?
Yeah. Aha, an ordering issue. So we've seemed to have mixed up the order of our themes. That's interesting.
So extract theme, extract themes, this.
So what is that success method doing?
Copying.
Because it's a set. And why are we using a set in our result class?
That I
Can we go up to our fields? Why did we do set copy of?
That I do not remember.
I mean, I can see it making sense if we want to ensure that it's a set of unique values.
The constructor is expecting a set too.
Yeah, because we assume that all values will be unique. Is that a correct assumption? Because set is not going to preserve order. I think we actually do want to preserve order. So I think. So let's disable our current test and let's refactor. I wasn't going to bother typing a comment because this is going to be on hold for a short amount of time. So just disable it. You could leave the comment there.
Okay.
So let's go. Let's go revert the change that caused the failure in our song parser. So let's just revert it. Mm-hmm.
And this.
Yep.
Okay.
And the one above it.
Whoops. And this one?
And that one as well. All right, so let's change the result from set to list and see if that matters.
Can we just refactor it
No, I think we'll just
manually?
manually change that to a list. And then it's callers.
Oh, interesting.
So we just want to say list of here.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't giving that as an option.
Yeah. I think that should be
Everything?
it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, nope. What's going on here?
Oh, that's why we did it. We were cheating. So that's why we did it. We needed to differentiate between
Oh,
the
two
because
different
we use
constructors.
constructors that are you can't differentiate by the generic type.
Right. Grr.
Um,
What about um, is there a different kind of list, or you can't differentiate even if they're in the same hierarchy?
no, if they were different classes, you could do it. But that would be really awful.
Right.
So I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and create subclasses in our result.
In other words, one for each of the two types of
Uh-huh.
results.
Yes. So we're going to have an abstract. So result will become abstract. And then we will have a success result that takes a list of success values and a failure result that takes a list of string. And that way each one will have a constructor that's correct. And we won't have a problem because there'll be two different classes.
Should we revert back to using sets and then refactor?
Well,
So
of
that we're
course.
compiling?
Of course. I would do a local history and revert and go back in time for the whole class. Or you could go into the commit dialog and do a revert there, either way.
Well, I'm here.
So click there.
Here.
Click to the last passing test. Yeah.
This one or this one?
Yeah, that one is fine. The one's currently selected is fine. And then just hit the revert button in the upper left.
Ah, there it is.
Yep.
Okay, so now we should be back to, well, failing. No, we should be back to green because we disabled that test. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so Veganese, the problem is that we want two constructors, one that takes a list of success values and one that takes, for failure, a list of failure messages. You can't have two constructors that take the same arguments, which is what we just tried to do.
Yeah, that's why we did
So
sets way back when.
Yeah, so the fact that the first one is generified with success and the second one is generified with string, you cannot overload based on generics because generics don't exist as far as the compiler is concerned. So due to type erasure, you can't have two constructors that take the same arguments. Hey, full nutful. No, we did not start persistence, and we will not be starting persistence today. the odds of us getting to persistence next time are probably around 50%. The problem is ultimately we need real constructors that take different things. We could always pass in two parameters, the success and failures, and check that one of them is null or the other one is not. That offends me. And yeah, I mean, we could add some arbitrary other parameter, and we talked about that before, and we had forgotten that that's what happened. We could add a Boolean saying is a success or failure. That offends me as well. So factory methods did not solve the problem. We have factory methods. The problem is we need a constructor. We need two constructors that
Right.
take lists. The lists are of different kinds, but they're still lists, and so the compiler doesn't care. I mean, we could take we could do the Boolean as a small step towards subclassing. So we could do that.
Would we extract to, or sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm not sure I see how that plays out. I'm still just thinking about how we would extract to an abstract base class.
Well, before doing that, we could add a parameter, right? So consolidate.
Oh,
both
I meant if we didn't do the parameter thing.
I mean, either way, we're going to have to make result be abstract, and then have concrete implementations. Basically, that are nested classes. Well, right now they have proper values. We're initializing them in the field declaration. So by definition, they have proper values. The idea is not to expose the type of result. So we don't want to be exposing failure result and success results to clients of this class.
That's why they would be nested.
Right. And so yeah.
So how would we proceed? This is the part I'm a little bit unsure about how we would move towards.
Well,
that.
so again, do we want to cheat and add a Boolean flag, or do we want to just go straight to?
Does the cheat help us? I guess is my question.
Not really.
Then no. I mean, if it helped with the refactoring, it made it easier.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to pretty much sort of rip stuff apart. So we need two constructors because one constructor is for the success and one is for failure. And they both must be result. And we want one type that callers can count on. So to be honest, we've been writing our own result class with sort of just enough. There are more proper result implementations that do a lot more work. And if you look at any sort of more real implementation that sort of take their hints from other result implementations, they do have an abstract base class of result, and then subclasses that are specific for failure and specific for success.
Are you bringing that up because it might be the time to not write our own result class? Or were you more
No, I was just sort of
pointing out that's
pointing
the
out
right
that
path to take?
it's unsurprising that we're going to get to where we're going.
Got it. Okay, let's start ripping. What do we do first?
So let's make results itself be abstract.
Is it before and or
Yeah.
after in Java? It's
Yep.
before.
Yep.
Not replace. Yeah, there we go.
And let's rename 14 that constructor. We'll call that success result.
Oh, rename, not just type.
No, just type, because it's gonna cause a compile error, but that's okay. And we want then sort of make a similar change to 19, call that failure result. And then let's so let's wrap that first constructor in a static private static class. And we'll call it success result. We want to generify that. So we're not, all right, you can finish wrapping it, and then we got more to do.
Yeah, of course. Oops, wrong way.
So success results is still of the type success. And it extends result of success.
Private static class? Yeah.
Yes. And what we want is we want to grab line 11, cut it from there, and
Sorry.
paste it into, yeah, cut it from there and paste it into our class. Let's try this. There's probably a better way to do this, but actually, no. Let's delete line 10, because we're going to define that differently. Let's change, let's find the isSuccess method. We're going to make that abstract. And then delete the contents of it. Including, so it's an abstract method, so no curlies.
Ah, right. Semi?
But you'll need a semi.
Let's move up.
What's that?
We move this up.
Let's leave it there for now. So now let's define isSuccess in our static class. So let's delete 17 and then override. Control O. Oh, you could do that too. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So we want to return true, because for the success result, it's always going to be true.
Right.
Let's do the same thing for values. We're going to make it abstract. Public abstract.
I knew something didn't look right.
And again, sort of hollow out, delete all the implementation. And we'll go ahead and override that in our success class. And here we return values.
Okay.
I think that's it for our success result. So now we're going to do some similar stuff to our failure results. So wrap that in our private static class.
This one's a string, or no?
It's still success. And so we can delete 34. And then we can override the other two methods.
That one's correct. Values would be interesting.
So we're going to want to, we're probably going to want to change this going forward, but we're going to not do the full implementation just yet. So let's just return a new array list, or actually empty list. We shouldn't even instantiate anything. Lowercase e.
Yep, took me a second.
Yep. You got an extra paren there.
Because they're fun.
And we want to take the field from the top level class for failure messages and move it inside the, so yeah,
Right.
line 10, move that into failure. And now we can make that final as well. And we want to, for the failure, there's a failures messages method. We want to make that abstract as well. And you can copy that implementation because we're going to basically move that. And let's go implement that in our failure, and we'll have to also implement it in our success.
What was it called again? Failure messages?
You can just hit Control O or do that.
Control O.
And then just select the method. Yep. Yep. Let's go back up to success. And let's, we can make line 11, we can make that final, and then we'll override the failure messages one.
Override which one again?
Failure messages, the only one that we haven't. Right. And here again, we'll return an empty list. I think that's it for the implementations. So now what we want is, now we want to use the concrete classes.
So this would become
No, you want to leave all that. It's the same thing. It's just instead of result, it's success result.
Oh, I see. So just
Yeah.
Got it.
I think that's it.
Move these up now.
Yeah, you can move those up. No, actually, sorry. Leave those there.
You like them?
Yeah.
Leave them in the bottom.
We'll move the implementations down. So basically move the static factory methods to the top. Everything else stays the same.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah. Let's run it and see what happens.
Well, did we do it such that it auto changed the colors?
The callers shouldn't care. We've done a
Oh,
refactoring.
right. A manual refactoring, though.
A manual refactoring, but it's still a refactoring. We have not changed any external behavior. And now we can see can we change those all those sets to be list. So that should be list of, and the other one should be also list copy of. Yep. Yep.
Only 3.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Fine. No. So now run and
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. So this addresses Full Neville's questions of why do we need 2 constructors? Because as we can see on line 13, technically 14, we're calling a constructor that takes a list for the success branch. And line 22, we're also passing in a list. Previously, we couldn't tell the difference between are we passing in successes or failures because they were both lists. So the way we cheated before was we had one take a set and one take a list, and that was a way to differentiate the constructors, but that's really bad, as we just found, because sets change the order and lists do not.
So that cheat bit us in the butt.
Yeah. So the cheat worked fine until it didn't, which
Right.
is how everything works until it doesn't. So the error is it just simply wouldn't compile because you can't have two methods, constructors, whatever, that take collections, even if the contents of the collection, right, how they're generified as different types, because generification goes away.
So the JVM just sees it as,
it just
or the
sees
compiler sees it as two methods that are overloaded with the exact same type.
Right, which you can't overload.
You can't have that.
Right.
That's why the fix of putting a Boolean at the end.
Yes.
Of one of them.
One of them would be true, and yeah. So we could do that. We could simply add an arbitrary dummy parameter to differentiate as well, but that's
to
terrible
one of them,
as well. So this is the correct way to do it. And then there's some cleanup we could do in addition, but this is basically we've refactored the result class. So Veganese asks about prefer abstract class over interface. So the thing about modern Java with interfaces is you can have default implementations. But what I personally think that was a language mistake. I think that was done. I understand why it was done because it was the only way to deal with collection classes and the stuff they wanted to do with collection classes, of which there was a lot of interfaces. But I think having default implementations of interfaces broke the entire purpose of interfaces, which were purely abstract. So I personally think that abstract class is a much more intention-revealing way of saying this is a partial implementation. Some languages call it a partial class. Right? We've got some implementation, and you have to fill in the rest. And I think that's, to me, again, though I've been doing Java for 28 years, so I'm going to, of course, like the one that does it the way I've always done it. But I think using interfaces and defaults, because defaults become messy.
I think I want to ask a wait what question.
Yeah.
So in Java, an interface, so for me, an interface cannot have an implementation and an abstract can.
And that's no longer true.
That's no longer true. So interfaces can have implementations now.
They've been able to have implementations for a while now.
For a while.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Right. So you want to use abstract.
Basically, since Java 8.
Okay, wow. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So abstract is the reason you're choosing abstract because it maps into the definition of what an abstract class means.
Right.
Independent of language.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you, and I agree.
Yeah, so if you look at the implementation of list, you will find a default method called sort that actually has behavior. It is an implementation.
Interesting.
And I think that I understand why they did that. I think I like to pretend that that is something that JDK libraries can implement and that I do not. They did that for backwards compatibility and for other reasons having to do with introducing lambdas and streams and such. But I wish they had found a way to do that only the libraries could do that and that nobody else should do that. Because if you have an interface and you have default implementations that can then be overridden, to me it just mangles the purity of that interface has had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the whole idea of why you could implement multiple interfaces is because you could be guaranteed there was no implementation, and so you wouldn't run into the infamous problems with multiple inheritance. Now it's just a mess.
Yikes.
And I just like to pretend that interfaces didn't do that.
At least in code we write.
Yeah. So does PHP have an override annotation? Is that part of the language? I know in Java you include it because if you don't, you're fine, but then your compiler won't complain that you're not overriding. So that's why it introduces it. So Full Novel mentions this implementation, which is has first of all looks very much like Kotlin, but it does indicate that there is some additional things we could do to make the result nicer. First of all, we wouldn't use a throwable as our failure result. That's the whole point, is we don't want exceptions. We actually just want failure messages. But we could make result a sealed class. And what that would allow us to do is to make sure that nobody, other than inside here, nobody else extends and implements a subclass of result. Which I think would be kind of nice. So why don't we do that? And what we want to say then, and usually I see it on a new line. So basically before the opening brace on a new line, put permits. Yep. And then, no, the opening brace will still be on the same line. And then we want success result and failure result.
Really, I have to type it.
I wonder if it's not visible enough.
Now it's got it.
There it goes.
It took a while. Oh, it's result dot. Oh. And then again for the other
comma.
Doesn't seem to like it though.
Yeah, because the sealed class subclasses must be final, and that's fine. So let's make failure result final, and let's make success result final. There we go. And let's reformat that a bit. Control Alt L. Yep. So now what we've done is we basically said, and this can help in some cases, especially for exhaustive things. What's going on now? So let's see. Success result has private access in result.
Give me 1 second. I'm back.
Yep. I don't know what that means. If we comment out the permits, static final. So that's okay. So there's something with the permits that I'm not familiar with. I don't know. That's something I'll ask ChatGPT about.
I mean, it's a good breaking point for this.
I think this is a good stopping point. Yeah. So let's do a commit, and then we'll end for the day.
Sounds good. We want to mention it's because of the ordering problem we had with set, or just put that in our Jira.
Yeah. To prepare to fix ordering problem. Yeah.
Okay. Ship it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to allow interfaces to have implementation, you got to allow private methods.
Actually, wait a second. If we enable this test now.
Oh, yes. Will this pass now?
Yeah. It should, because we're no longer.
Right, because we're passing in lists, so it should preserve the order. Well, it wasn't this. It was that when we changed it to is that other tests were failing.
Right.
So this is still failing.
So okay.
But that's actually
a good breadcrumb.
Yeah, it's a good breadcrumb. Yeah. All right. So that's all for today. Next time we will handle the required theme and make sure we propagate that failure. And I give it a 50-50 chance that we'll get to persistence next time.
And I think we decided to skip.
Yeah, that sounded like you wanted to punt on that.
I'm kind of like some of the folks who are watching, keen to get to persist to database.
Yeah. Then that's all, folks. So next time we'll, I don't think we have anything scheduled for this week, so it'll likely be next week, at least for another pairing stream. So next time we'll finish this up and we'll then move on to persistence. And so as a reminder, join the Discord. That's where you'll find out about when we schedule. As soon as we figure out our schedule, I post it in the announcements. And there's other stuff to do in the Discord as well. So I'll probably be doing a solo stream tomorrow. And after that, we'll see how it goes. So thanks everyone for the great chat and hanging out. Yeah, Mike, what do you want to say?
Oh, do you want me to push even though we've got a failing test?
Yes, please push.
Okay.
Because I want to ask ChatGPT about the results class.
Okay, done.
Yeah. All right, thanks, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the good questions. Always appreciate questions and some of the help that we got from Suiji earlier. Yes, the repo is public. I'll post in the Discord where the link to that. So that's all, folks. So thanks a lot for spending some time with us on this Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.